Well, after recording the last video, I decided to get back on here again this evening just to kind of take the series a little further. I've probably done, I think, if I remember correctly, a couple of videos already about Mary and one about Joseph, but this is going to be another one of those videos where we just focus on Joseph because this is the one where I have drawn some lines from which his headdress is going to be made. Now, Mary's is going to be a little bit plainer once it comes down to it, but for Joseph, there's certain steps here where we carve along to make the top band of the headdress. So I decided, even though the book says to use a gouge to do it, that would be a lot of work in front of the camera, so I'm going to use this little detail knife because it's sharp enough here, and probably the other knives have probably dulled out from the last video I did, but here's how I'm going to work along on that. Try to, like you see, and kind of did the first line from the front and the first line from the top, making it so it's like this. We're going to kind of go all around it the same way here and sort of like make the little rounds in here. There's probably going to be a place or two where the band is going to chip, but we always find a way to cover for that later. It always just works out. And I'd say we're going to try to take this little place here, cut along this side here, and this is how we go about making the front and the two sides here. There's a couple places that are on the very sides that we have to kind of take care of those as well, so we'll carve along on that and show how this little thing's going to come along. I say we got that right there. This is the next side we're going to do, and these are at the left and right. There's little corners to come along. We take care of those as well, so this little work as far as how it's going to come, it's going to go as it will, make a little shining light for us, and I say that we got this much done already, and there's a couple of little back corners and one little place in the back where we kind of have to work the knife through that, get it through those places, work along that edge, and this is how we're going to get it. And we'll probably talk a little bit more as we work on the next one, but this is a little part of the video that, and a little part of the carving that requires a little bit more concentration, so we can't talk about much else while we're doing this. I'd say we got that much done along, so this is how it looks at the top. We're going to try to do the other one too. And speaking of what we say about how we don't talk much, it's kind of like how I went to my Woodcarvers Guild meeting, and sometimes around times of presidential elections, we'd really get on politics a lot, and we'd have the guy who was like the head of the group tell us that we couldn't really talk about politics in there because he thought it really wasn't a good subject for an open group with knives. You could say that for sure, because it's bad enough having that kind of conversation and topic when you don't have a knife in your hand, but as the conversation goes on, it can kind of get a little tricky here and there. Sometimes there's no telling what kind of gesture you're going to make to somebody when you get on those topics. So there's a lot to be a little more cautious about here. I'd say that there's little lines here. We're going to carve along them. And there's another little place that's going to come out as well when I get around to it. And we're going to be making that come out as soon as we can. Make a little dent in the wood. I say that for this little place at the top, for as far as this will go, we've got a long ways coming. Make it all sound so simple and easy and make it work like it should. I say these days, there's lots of cautions to take. I do know that there's plenty of different ways people see religion and the nativity these days. I know for one thing in the book, there's a little place where it calls for some carving of some wise men. And one day there's going to be a day we're probably going to work on some of those. It may not be this year. It may be another year, a year in the future. And there's also little camels and donkeys and cows in the same nativity set. We'll probably get around to doing those eventually. I do have a camel to work on this year for my mom's friend along with an angel, so that'll be a little step to take further. May not necessarily do it for video this year, but may actually work on some more because I've gotten like quite a few little blanks for flat plane nativity camels cut out, and maybe one or two for a donkey or a cow. So that's how it's going to work along this line, and it'll be a little show for us to do. We see that we're working on this, making it so it shines in the light, and that's how we come around with this. Now another little step we need to take is carving a little V around this bottom line. So we're going to take care of that right now, see how it works, see how it comes. I say that this little line is going to come out just fine, and I've learned how to be a little more cautious about this, because if you're not too careful carving these lines, you might end up chipping the headband. So I say that there's little cautions to use. I'm thinking that there are some of these steps I may not do on video because they might be a little bit harder to show and demonstrate. But since there are similar steps to do on Mary, I might kind of show them to you with her when she's being worked on. But I say for this little piece of work, it's coming quite a ways along and making itself to where it'll shine all the way through to everything we see, everything we hear, everything we know, and that's how it goes. I'd say that little working, little carving can kind of do us all a little good, make us all happy as we can be, make us all know what we know. I say that of all things we do, there's just so much we learn from what we watch, and I'm always just happy to kind of get a little practice with instructing you all on this, just as much as I've enjoyed it myself so many years. And I say that that's what the YouTube channel is for. There have been the days when we've kind of changed things up a little bit. You can see how I did the band at the top. This is where the bottom of his chin is going to be. We'll carve that sometime later. I've already drawn that line out on Mary, so we're going to carve it out on her too. But now it is time to take care of the bottom of the band on this little Joseph figure as well, and just let you see how he comes along. And we'll work here, a little work there, and little time shall pay the price. Just feels like it feels so good to be in here in the shop, kind of carving and doing video instruction. I'll probably be back to my social life in probably a week or two, maybe a day or two. Don't know when exactly it's going to be, but we're going to take care of that when the time comes to do it. So I say right now, it's just a good time for me to get a little break from all that and show a little bit more how things are going in my work, because there comes times when there are places and things we have to get away from for a while. There are things we have to pray about, things we have to reconsider. So sometimes I think it's not so much that you're in a bad place where you are, but sometimes it could be that maybe God just has something else he wants you to be doing in a different place. So I think that's how it's been tonight. I think he's really wanted me to be carving these and making these videos for you all. So that's how I've worked along on this. Made it come out so much for the better. There's other little things on Joseph I'm going to draw later to kind of make the places where his coat comes down a little bit, where the headdress comes down below his chin. So there's going to come a time we're going to get to work on that. So that's how it comes along now. And I say that this is just the work as far as I've done it. And here's how you get the top of the headdress to start with. And I'd say for now, it's kind of time to close this video up. See if my other one has finished uploading to Amazon Photos, so I can see if I can download it and upload it to YouTube. Probably will be up by the time this one is up, because that one has to go up first. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.